Hello everyone, welcome to a slightly different sort of custom figure review. This is basically going to be my build diary for the Comet Miniatures Reshape TV21 Golden Emperor Dalek model kit. It's a bit of a mouthful. So this is something that I've been looking for on and off on eBay and other sites since about 2015. So to actually have this in hand after kind of staring at pictures of it online for a long time is really nice. I can't wait to kind of get started building it, and it's really exciting. So for the time being, we'll crack it open and have a look at the contents. So you can see the box is really quite basic. You open it up and you've got some bubble wrap in there. So the first thing you notice is the big ball head of the Emperor, which is, you can kind of see it's quite self-explanatory. It's a large piece of resin that's hollow, and you can see that there's some sanding that's going to need to be done around the bottom there. Next up, we've got the lower part of the head dome with a hole in it, which you can drill to make the head posable. Then we've got the skirt. This is a much shorter, stubbier skirt than the skirt that normal Daleks have. It's only got three hemispheres on each panel. You can see again it's going to need some sanding. It's got some rough marks on it and things. It's very nice, it's very solid. This bag's got the plastic bits in it, so it's got the hemispheres, and then it's got an eye stalk, the ear lights, the appendages and things, and a few extra parts as well for a TV style Emperor. This is the shoulders. So again, the Emperor is in the comics, so he doesn't feature slats. He's just got the lower and upper collars. You can see the two arm joint slots there and the hole for the drill to go through again. So the lower part of the head dome will fit into there, and that's where it's posable. It's going to need a bit of sanding down that piece. And then we've got the base. So the base is quite a simple piece. It's largely just a chunk of resin that's going to need a bit of sanding around the outside. It's got a smooth kind of curve around it. And then on the bottom, which is really cool, there's the motive sphere. So the gravitational sphere that keeps the Dalek hovering off the ground is there, which is a really nice touch, actually. This is the pin that's used to join the two pieces together of the neck. And then you've got instructions. So obviously, it being a garage kit, these are just printed off like a standard piece of paper. I've got 2 copies of them for some reason, but it's quite handy because it means that you can have one side with the instructions on and the appendages, and one side with the exploded kind of kit showing you where things need to go. The instructions are really basic. They don't go into detail at all, really. So you've got to get your head around the kit yourself, really. So I researched how others did it online. So here you can see what you get in the box, essentially, which is these large chunks of resin, all of which are going to need sanding carefully, of course, and painting and assembling, and then the plastic segments, and you've got the instructions. I've not made models before. I've customized Daleks in the past, but I've never actually got a model kit and produced any models. But I think this is something that I can potentially do. It doesn't sound like it's too difficult. It's more just about having the right tools that are needed. So looking into the bag, you've got, first of all, a few loose bits. That's one of the movie lights, and that's the spoke from the end of the gun. And you can see a few more pieces here that have come off the sprues already, so the plunger and a few of the balls. The balls being on those kind of like sprues is actually really handy. It makes them a bit easier to spray paint for their first coat. And then once they're removed, they'll need spray painting again. Here are the appendages and the pieces for the eye stalk. You can see they've also put in a spare movie claw there. And then, this is weird, it's a spare Comet TV Dalek style base, which is a bit odd for them to include that, but I guess because it has the eyepiece and the dome lights on. And yeah, there's some extra ones there attached to that large chunk of resin. They're going to be a bugger to get off, no doubt, but we'll see how it goes. So, getting started, I've got all the parts of the kit laid out here. This is everything in the box. We'll start by taking away the bits that I'm not going to need right now. So we'll start off with the resin. So the first thing that you need to do with resin kits, apparently, is wash them in warm soapy water. This seemed like a bit of an odd thing to do for me because I wasn't really sure what the purpose of this was. It seemed a bit odd. But the reason why you do it is because in the process of manufacturing these garage kits, like a lubricant is used to get the resin pieces out of the mould. And obviously you want to get rid of that because it gives the resin pieces an unwanted texture, and the substance can affect paint jobs, spray paints and things. So you want to get all that off before you get started with even sanding the pieces, because once this is gone, you sort of know what you're working with in terms of texture. So that's all finished, and you've got a selection of pieces here, all of which have been washed, and once those are dry, we'll be ready to start sanding them. So the pieces are all now dry, and you've got here the plastic segments of the kit, which will all need sanding the same way that the resin pieces will need sanding. I removed these from the sprues to start sanding them down, and you can see here, these are the appendages exploded. These are all the pieces for the appendages. The gun is the only part of the kit that doesn't have pieces supplied. You need to buy really thin brass rods and cut them down to size for the gun. The eye stalk's all present and correct, and the plunger has several segments so that it is basically you can extend it if you wish. The kit doesn't instruct that you do that, but for my version of it, I basically carefully glued the plunger together to make sure it was telescopic. Here are the lights and the ball joints. You can see that the sprues for some of these are really thick, and the ball joints in particular, I believe they should have been separated from these sprues before the kit was sold, but whoever it was that put the kit together didn't separate them, so I'm going to have a hard time cutting those off. You can see from the ones that are already separated in the kit what it should be like. So the base is the first thing that I thought I'd start. I figured that it made sense to start from the ground up, and the sanding for this was quite limited. You can see that there's ridges around various parts of the kit here, and it's worse around some parts than others. The dome was particularly bad in terms of sanding. The base, however, was easier to start off with, so I did that first. It's not a very exciting procedure, so I'm not going to show you everything, but you can see, you sort of get the gist from this. How exciting it is. And basically one of the things with sanding that I was always trying to make sure of is that no matter how much one area needed sanding, that I tried to keep the finish smooth on the piece so that when it's spray painted there's not a clear kind of sand line around where I'd sanded it and where I hadn't sanded it. So here are the spray paints that I used for the figure, the two main ones. I did think these would look more different on the finished figure, but I thought I'd go with Plasticoat Gold and Plasticoat Brass. The balls were the first thing that I sprayed. Sean and I sprayed these together. Obviously I've done a lot of spray painting in the past, so this wasn't too difficult, and the balls themselves don't need sanding at this stage. I took a few of the balls off to test that they would fit on the skirt. Now for the underside of the base, I wanted to use metallic silver. I wanted to not do the whole base in black. I wanted to actually do the gravitational disc in silver. So I spray painted the gravitational disc silver and prepared to spray paint the rest of the base in gloss black. The skirt was Plasticoat metallic gold, as was the bottom part of the dome. The balls were Plasticoat metallic brass, so I hope that they would stand out from the skirt quite nicely. You can see that I've sanded these down now, so the finish on them is a lot more smooth than it was before. There's the base with its silver. The base bottom was fully sprayed in silver, and I knew that I would need to mask it before spray painting it again in black, so that I didn't spray over the silver section. I gave the skirt and the lower part of the dome another coat of spray before spraying the base in gloss black, which you can see here. I masked the silver gravitational disc and spray painted the whole thing in gloss black, which looks really nice, I thought. On the instructions, it recommends that you do spray paint this gloss black. Here are some of the balls after being removed from the sprues. You can see that even though I spray painted them once in brass, they're going to need another coat now after being sanded to remove the bit of blue plastic that's come from taking it off the sprues. This is my setup now, so I've moved everything downstairs to get to the garden to spray paint a bit more easily. You can see now these pieces are largely looking like they're finished. Got a few coats on them, the base is dried, and the shoulders have had their first spray as well. Sanding the shoulders down was a real pain in the bum because it's a really awkward shape to do without damaging the detail around the arm boxes and stuff. The shoulders were sprayed in brass first, with the intention of covering up the brass sections and spraying the rest of it in gold at some stage. You can see now this is the final coats for all these pieces, and the balls have been sanded down, ready for their final coat of spray as well. You can see there's quite a few balls that are left over from the kit, which I wasn't really sure about, but you'll find out later why it's actually super useful to have those. To make sure I got an even coat on all the balls, I used double-sided sticky tape and attached each of the balls to it before taking that board outside and respraying them in brass. For the skirt, I needed to use a power drill and some super glue to get the balls attached to the skirt. I don't know if you noticed before, but some of the holes on the skirt had resin still inside them. It's the nature of a garage kit, you have to do a bit of customization, and I needed to drill the holes to make sure the hemispheres could fit in all the holes of the skirt. And here we go, that's the finished chunk. So the skirt is now done with the balls attached, and it looks pretty good. I'm really happy with it so far. At this stage I was super pleased with the finish. The base looks fantastic with the gold, and the hemispheres really pop on the skirt in that lovely shade of brass and gold together. I attached the lower part of the head dome just as a test to see how it would look. You can see there that I've drilled the hole through for the pin. So with these parts finished for this stage, I moved on to the larger part of the head dome. So here you can see me looking at the instructions. The hole was drilled through for the pin. So onto the head dome, I've been deliberately putting this off because I didn't want to have to sand something that was going to be so visible on the figure. Because basically the Emperor Dalek, the design of it isn't the most detailed design in the world, and I knew that if I'd messed this up, it would really bother me. So I finally got down to sanding. I took a big deep breath and just got on with it, and you can see now this is after it's been sanded. I may or may not have gone back to it after this just to smooth it out some more, but you can see all the ridges around the bottom of it have now gone. It's completely smooth. So it's onto a spray paint of metallic brass for the head. I was really keen not to overdo it with the spray, because if you overdo it with the spray you'll get drip marks and things, and on something like the Emperor I wanted to get a really smooth kind of glowing finish on it so that his head would catch the light in a nice way. You can see now it's had 2 coats. So with all the main resin pieces sprayed in gold and sanded, I wanted to start work on the appendages. First up was the eye stalk. Now I wasn't really sure about what colour to make the appendages, but I decided in the end to go for all gold, as in the comics they're often depicted as being all gold, and that includes the eye stalk. So I assembled all the pieces together with the intention of spraying them largely in brass, so they would stick out from the main body colour. The gun was assembled, although I didn't intend to use this. The plunger was assembled. I glued together the 2 lower portions and left the portion in the middle loose on purpose, with the hope of trying to make it telescopic so it could at least extend. There's the plunger having been sanded down. And finally, the spare movie claw, I didn't want to waste that, so I stuck a spare arm on the end of it, and I thought that it could be used for a character options figure at a later stage. Here's the eye stalk after being spray painted once, and the hole in it was filled with DR ready mixed filler, like the sort of stuff you put in walls. I cut back to downstairs, and this is me masking off part of the shoulders to give the non-coloured sections a spray in gold. The lights have been separated from their sprues and sanded down, and here they are ready to be spray painted in red gloss. And you can see after spraying, they're super shiny, and that's good. That's kind of the effect I wanted to go for. It's a shame I can't give them an opaque paint finish, but you know. So the lights were attached to the head with some super glue. As you can see, they kindly provided you with some little holes. I think they're probably for drilling through, should you want to add LEDs, but they're a really handy guide to let you know where to position the lights as well. I wanted to get the angles just right on these, because it's the sort of thing where if the angles are wrong, it's really obvious. And you can see now the kit's really starting to come together. The eye stalk spray painted in all gold for me to finish off later on with some stickers. and the base, the skirt, and the head dome are all largely looking like they're nearly finished. This is where I had my first problem. So the arm ball joints on the sprues, I didn't really have the right tools for this. In trying to get them off, I cracked them, so they were destroyed, so they were unusable, and I was devastated about it. I thought back to the spare hemispheres in the kit and thought, why don't I sand those down and create new ball joints with those? So I did just that. I had a few practices first, as you can see, and then with the finished ball joints added in, you can see that it looks perfect, really. I couldn't be happier with it. They are larger than the ones supplied in the kit, but it's quite nice in a way. In the comics, the Emperor is often depicted with ball joints that are the same size as his sense globes and his skirt. And you can see with the weaponry attached, the plunger is telescopic as I intended, so I'm really happy about that. And the gun is a paradigm gun, which I replaced the one in the kit with, because the one in the kit is a 70s style Dalek gun. It doesn't have the octagon shapes down the barrel like the 60s guns do. It would have been really awkward for me to make, and I wanted to give the Emperor his distinctive gun from the comics. The paradigm gun is a lot closer to that, because in the comics the Emperor Dalek had a long gun that was very thin with a spike on the end, and I felt that the paradigm gun was a better representation of that than a 70s Dalek gun, which is what was included in the kit. And overall, I'm really happy with how the shoulders look. The arms aren't posable, but as I said, the plunger can extend, and I haven't glued the plunger in, so you can remove it and reposition it slightly. You can see here the piece of the kit that I didn't need to use, which is the spare base and the TV style lights. He's finished now apart from the eye stalk. I was waiting for some final touches from the eye stalk to arrive in the post, so I wasn't going to paint it myself. I had a different way I wanted to approach it. So what I wanted to do with the eye stalk is a Dalek Invasion of Earth style eye, where the eye ball itself is the same colour as the rest of the eye stalk, in this case gold, just like this. And in the end, the intended effect, I couldn't be happier with it. It was inspired by the renders of the Pridonian, or James on Twitter. His Emperor Dalek's fantastic with the all gold appendages, and I wanted to give a little nod to that for this figure. And also, I just felt that it worked out far better than doing a standard black eye. None of the appendages ended up being their standard TV style colours, so I felt for the eye doing something a bit different would make sense as well. And here's the completed Emperor. You can see that the eye was the last thing I was waiting for. I couldn't be happier with how it looks. I'm sure it's not perfect, but you know, in terms of for a first-time model kit, I couldn't be happier with it. Just so you know, I'm going to upload a custom figure review of this separately. So if you enjoy this video and will want to watch that one, then keep an eye out because it'll be coming soon. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon.